Welcome. I am Tracey Bryan, and I am here at Life After Divorce Show. And this is the show that is dedicated to having the discussions concerning marriage, relationships, love, and life after divorce. And I have an amazing guest joining us this evening. I have the beautiful LaToya Forbins. She is a self-love coach, and she is big on women's empowerment. I'm gonna let her go ahead and tell you who she is and all of the things that she does. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the video and to our channel, because this is unadulterated, real tea, real talk right here on Life After Divorce Show. LaToya, welcome.
So it is so good to be here with you again, Tracey. I am so glad you asked me about this because we did talk about it a little bit on my last interview with you, and we didn't really get to go into limerence a little bit more, but I'm so glad to be here. Also, just FYI, I go by Ocean as well. So she knows me by LaToya, but I do go by Ocean. So you may see that in the title, my tag. But I go by Ocean as well. So I am just a woman who has done the work of coming out of divorce, coming from domestic violence, doing the self-love work, doing the self-care work, even more so now in the practice more regularly, and have understood over time of doing it alone the value of having sisterhood, the value of doing this work in community with other women, of self-love and healing and doing your internal healing work. So that is where I am today. And because I've worked through a lot of my own personal deficits when it comes to being in romantic relationships, I am now in that space where I can be a little bit more vulnerable and transparent with other women about how to untangle from limerence, from being a lover girl, because I am a lover girl, being just that hopeless romantic and just getting caught in that cycle of being in and out of that love cycle, and just and always thinking that it's something that you're doing wrong, feeling wrong about wanting love. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's the way in which we go by getting love that is the wrong method. And so once I've discovered all of that, did all of my untangling and understanding where that love resides, it's been a lot easier for me to understand how to pivot back into a romantic relationship, if that is what I so choose in the future.
Okay, now LaToya told y'all a little bit about her, and if y'all don't know, this actual episode is about love or limerence, because she went in talking about limerence before I got the title, the actual episode. But honey, as long as y'all know, go ahead and get it in, love or limerence. So I heard about what limerence was last year, the early part of last year, and I seen a post on IG, Instagram, and the lady was talking about all this time she's been in limerence. And I'm like, limerence, what is this? And as she got to describing the symptoms, because it is definitely some symptoms, honey, that make you feel like you're in love, but it's not necessarily love. It's an intense emotional obsession with the feelings of love. It's an intense emotional obsession with the feelings of love. So let me go ahead and break it down so that we can understand exactly what limerence is. Because I'm telling you, when I first heard about it, y'all, I was just like, is this me? This sounds like me. Because I always say, even my son, he tells me all the time, Mama, you just a sucker for love. Mama, you just a sucker for love. And I do. I am a sucker for love. I love love. I love love. And I am too, Ocean, a lover girl. I love love. I love expressing love. I love sharing love. The people I love to love, and I love to what they call spoil them, acts of service, gifts, affirmations, all of these things that show love. That's me, right? So limerence is a tense emotional state characterized by intrusive and obsessive thoughts about a person that you're romantically attracted to. It's often described as an overwhelming infatuation that combines elements of romantic love, obsession, and fantasy. And I know many of us can relate to intense obsession of romantic love and fantasy. Many times we have met a man, honey, and he has stimulated us and we're attracted. And baby, we didn't already in our mind after meeting him and sitting with him for 3 days, we didn't already imagine the damn wedding. Come on, Ocean. Let's talk about it. We done already got hooked up on the wedding, how many children we gonna have, how the house look, all of that. Let's go.
Absolutely. All of that. It is, and there's danger in that. There's
It
so
really
much.
is.
There's so much danger in that, because with that, all of that fantasy, you throw caution to the wind. You don't see the red flag. That's when them rose-colored glasses get put on. You don't see the things that you need to see logically. You are strictly operating off of emotion. That physiological feeling is literally taking you away. And it reminds me of that saying when people say, follow your heart. Because your heart has the truth. It requires logic, though. It requires the brain and heart to be coherent. You need both. Following your heart doesn't mean just going by emotion only. It means to use the brain and the heart, the logic and the emotion, to discern wisdom behind the choices that you're making. And when we say follow your heart, or when a lot of people think following their heart, they're only thinking about that physiological feeling, those emotions. And that's what gets us in trouble every time. And not having that education and that understanding. Comprehension is so necessary so that you can use critical thinking when it comes to that prospect of relationship, or that prospect of a romantic partnership. And a lot of times we literally go from 0 to 60 because we are operating in limerence. It's just dangerous. And that's where I have gotten to that place of now, is where I have to pull the reins back when I feel that. I have to govern it. It needs a governor, which is the logic.
I love that. I love that. You said some interesting things. You said we get caught up in the fantasy, meaning we miss the red flags. Okay, we. It's interesting because it's like we consciously and unconsciously deny them. It's a conscious but yet an unconscious denial, because when you're caught up in the limerence, you're in an obsession that you're not even aware you're in if you don't know that what it is.
Well,
right?
because
it's a setup. It's a big time setup. But let's go further back by how we've been programmed to be set up. I'm gonna let you go and take that. Go on, Ocean.
You just said what I was about to say. So I thank you that you were already in the vein and you understand. It's because we've been conditioned to think limerence is love. And I think I said this before. I think that's intentionally done.
Yes.
It's intentionally done to make women be more in limerence, because the men already know. The majority of men already know the game of love. Because if you think about men, they could care less about love. They want respect over love.
Okay.
So they know that they can use love of them, from us to them. That's the tool that they use to draw us in. It's not what they need. It's not what they need. They use the love as a bait. They use love as bait, but they don't need love from us. And so that's where that push pull comes in. But if it were true love, it would be off of an even respect, a mutual respect for one another, a mutual care, concern, empathy, all those things. But because it's usually not, typically, it requires this bait and switch.
Interesting.
It's a bait and switch. The men already know that you are infatuated because they already know the game of what they're playing. See, they're already playing their game. When they get you caught up, then they know they got you. That's where it's the setup. Because you rarely are going to find two people that are in limerence with each other. That's where you get this dichotomy of the manipulator, the narcissist, because they've already been strategizing on how they're gonna loop you in. What tools and methods they're gonna use to draw you into them. They already have their guard up. They already know this ain't what you think this is, but I'm gonna bring you in and I'm gonna use what I can use to keep you tethered to me as long as I can keep you tethered to me. And as long as you, with the rose-colored glasses, and you think you in love and you're continuing to do the things that you would do within a loving partnership or relationship, they're going to keep feeding you whatever that is that they need to feed you to keep you doing what you need to do. But it's not a mutual love. It's not reciprocal. That's why it's so dangerous. It's so harmful. And that's why a lot of times people get into the abusive relationships, imbalance, because it starts from a place of the person in limerence. Because of our attachment styles, because of our lack of the love that we need from within, we're looking for it on the outside. We're looking for somebody else to fill our love cup when it's supposed to be us. We're supposed to be two full, loving beings, loving ourselves and coming together with our love and just exploding in love. Not, I need what you have and you need what I have. That's where it becomes that manipulation.
I agree. I love that. Now let's talk about men and them being very strategic. You spoke about that. Men go into relationships with strategy immediately. No, men rarely go in with love. Rarely go in with love. But us as women, love is our motivation. We've been taught, and even I'll go further on the setup. We've been set up as young girls with these fairy tales, these Snow Whites, these Cinderellas, these Tianas, these Jasmines, these Little Mermaids. All of this is this fairy tale love that we're going to meet that prince, that soulmate, that one. And see, one thing I've learned, because I'm multidimensional, I'm a multidimensional being, it's gonna be hard for me to just meet the one. We want to believe that because that's what we've been taught and programmed to believe. It's the one. But I'm too multidimensional and constantly evolving to even participate in just fantasizing about the one. And many people will call that, call it being a hoe. I don't give a damn. Okay, well, hold on. I'm just saying, it makes sense as we grow, when we have more experiences and we mature, when we start really understanding ourselves, like you said, really loving ourselves and going inward in that inward journey and start discovering who we truly are. You start recognizing I'm multidimensional. One person might not be enough to feel, to enhance what I already have going on, and then we're constantly growing. Come on, baby, you got
But
something to say. Let's
what
go.
what you just said, I love that, because that is why, oh, this is the good part. This is why men, notice, older men like younger women. And the younger, the better, because she's naive. She has not learned self-discovery, and she's also not independent. You having that time of maturation, self-discovery, that inner healing, that time, that needs to be developed before you can even go into a healthy relationship. Limerence thrives off of codependency.
Ooh.
And and
Wait, go back, repeat that. You can't run over that now, Ocean. Say that one more time. What? Say that again.
limerence thrives off of codependency, because as long as that person feels like you have what they need, you're going to always be chasing outside of self. When we discover who we are, we know that we are enough. We know that we are enough within ourselves, and anybody else is just coming to enhance, like you mentioned. They're just coming to enhance what you already have. You're not needing them to fill your love cup, because you are overflowing with love. They are getting from your overflow. They are getting from your saucer. They're not taking from your cup. They're not draining you. They're not draining the life force, your essence, your beauty, your majesty, your magic. When you're full of that, full of yourself as you should be, and they're full of who they are and the essence of authenticity, you bring all of that together, and it's a magic. But because a lot of people have not been able to operate in their authenticity, because we have been programmed for these roles that society needs us to operate in, so that we can perform these nuclear family, gender roles, binaries, so that we can keep this matrix going as these hierarchical beings want us to do. You know all about it. You know all about it. It's all a part of the propaganda and the agenda. It's a part of the agenda. That's why they cannot stand transgender. That's why they cannot stand the LGBTQIA plus community, because they operate outside the fringe, and they give people the ideas and the aspiration of being something more than what they have said that we must be, man and woman. And in this, and that love romantic dynamic, when there's so much more available to us. There's so much abundance available to us. And like you said, you know that maybe there's not that one person that can fulfill that, because we are meant to be a part of the all. When you are getting fulfilled from all of your relationships, and no one person is designated to just fill that one role, because no one person can fill that one role. You get to pull from all of your relationships. That is what is healthy, from the community of everyone in the frequency of where you are. That's healthy. And it is a potential to have a healthy union. But because of where we are in society, the devolution of society, a lot of men are not doing this work. They have devolved, and women are wanting to evolve into something greater, but we are being pulled back down, because they need us to stay in limerence. They need us to stay in that neediness of needing a
Because
man.
not only does it benefit, it benefits them more than it benefits us. Because we
Absolutely.
have all of that, surplus labor that
Oh,
isn't even being accounted
invisible
for
labor.
as labor, right? So us as women, one thing that I recognized, just kind of being transparent, is that what I noticed about relationships with me, and I'm so happy that now I have moved on to my my leaving my marriage was probably one of the greatest things that could have happened to me. One of the most painful things, for sure. But one of the most greatest things that happened to me, because the self-discovery that I have connected with on this journey is just above and beyond anything I think I could have ever experienced with someone. And I say this with the utmost respect for myself and the relationships I've been in. That me being in relationship, for me, I felt like I could not express myself 110% because I had to constantly consider someone else's feelings. I had to compromise someone else's feelings, meaning that I'm going to be reducing myself. With every compromise, I'm reducing myself a little more. And we don't recognize it like that. We look at it because we've been taught that, hey, this is part of what relationships are, right? But you, even in relationships, and I think a lot of times why women are so painfully disappointed in relationships is because we're compromising and we're considering and we're sharing. And I'm not saying this is just limited to women, but I'm saying more so because I am a woman and that is the population that I deal with, more. And it's like many men aren't considering. They aren't compromising. Honey, they in a marriage and single. And when,
Yes.
and when it come to us, we married and married with children. So let's get into that.
That is so important that you said that, because it goes back to what I said, authenticity. They get to be somewhat authentic, although they're hiding some things. They get to lie by omission. They get to lie by omission. And also because in those relationships, the women are usually trying to get more from the man, and he is withholding. He's literally withholding. And in my last relationship, I noticed it. It was so to the point where I could not get him to be fully himself, that I know that you're not fully being yourself, because I know what authenticity looks like. I know what it feels like. I know what it looks like.
You know the energy of it.
I know the vibration and the frequency
Mhm.
of it. And
Mhm.
when you are withholding from me, it's like sucking the air, because not only are you withholding from me, but you're also taking from me. So you're not giving me what I need from you, because I need that from you. I need your authenticity. I need your true self, so that we can share in this dance. In order for it to be love, it needs to be, again, reciprocal. But if you're withholding from me, that's a form of neglect. That's a form of abuse for me. It feels the same way. And I actually had to tell my ex-boyfriend that, even though he felt like he was a nice guy, he would buy and give me whatever, if I wanted something, he would buy it. If all of these things, I don't want those things. I want the essence of who you are as a person. And if you can't give me that, then what are we doing? And that is that union. That is that divine union that we crave as women. And because we understand divinity, we understand our own divine union. We know what it's like to embrace with the one true God, the goddess. We know. And so we're trying to bring them into that realm with us. And we can't bring them in that realm with us because of what needs to be burnt off of them, what needs to die, the weight that needs to be released from them. They can't let it go because they're tied into this material realm. So we're trying to ascend up into the spirit with them, and they can't go with us. And that's why
it goes back to where we said they have not evolved to that point, and they are resistant, and they are fighting because it does not benefit them in the same way in which it did, and they know this.
and
They
the
know
thing
this.
and the thing about that is, and this is where the danger comes in. This is where the real danger comes in. Because they know of our frequency, they know of our vibration, and like how that helps them to rise up even just a little bit for them. Because see, they could ascend if they would do a little bit more work. They could ascend a little bit more work. They could rise up all the more with us. Again, If you bring your love, if you're a full, whole human being, you've done the work on yourself and I do the work on myself, we bring that energy to together and it becomes more exponentially great, right? But because they're coming in their scarcity, they're coming in their survival mode because they're operating in that low frequency, right? Again, it's about crabs in a barrel. I need to pull you down so I can come up. I need to step on you so that I can be above you, you know, that hierarchical mindset. So when you have that, instead of us coming together, partnership, when we can ascend together, they do that. And we as women, we think, oh, I can pull him up. See, we've been conditioned to believe I can pull him up. Let me help a man up. Let me bring him up to where I am. And that rarely ever happens because someone's always going to pull somebody down if the other person is not doing the work. If they haven't been doing that work before they met you, they're not going to continue doing that work because what is the incentive? They have what they need. They have the prize. You are the consolation. You are the prize.
Yes.
And they know that. And what they've done is they flipped the script and made women think that the men are the consolation prize when women are actually the prize, because what is divine is it resides in us. We are that portal. You know this.
Yes, yes.
You know that about
yes,
our sacredness.
Yes.
You know that.
Yes, yes. And because we are that portal, we have that one foot in the spiritual world and one foot in the physical at all times, we are also always fertile. Even those of us who may not have our womb space at their physical womb, we still have that energetic portal. It is a portal and it is always receiving and creating at all times. And we have that essence in everything we do. We are multipliers. So we take everything they give us and we multiply it. We multiply it. And that's even the negative stuff. So if they give us good stuff, we're going to multiply that. And they give us the negative shit and the bullshit, we're going to multiply that too. And before you know, your happy house and home is now just a disaster. Don't nobody want to be in there.
And listen, and that is why, notice, that is why typically in those dynamics, the woman deteriorates and he glows up.
Yep. Exactly.
She deteriorates. She becomes less, like you said, you have to diminish because you are being siphoned.
Yes.
Your life force is being siphoned. Your essence is being siphoned from you.
Yes.
And he is, and here's the messed up part about that. Because he knows that he gets that essence from women, that's usually why they cheat. They usually have multiple women that they're siphoning that energy from. And it's not even just in the cheating. They have mothers, sisters, cousins, other women in the community that they can.
And it doesn't have to always be sex.
It don't. Oh, no.
It's
absolutely
not always sex, but they're going to have their arsenal of women that they go to siphon and harness that energy for their buildup. You are absolutely right with that.
The word is muse. See, back in the day, they used to say they're muse. That's where they get their inspiration from. Again, inspiration means what? Life. You are inspiring. Inspiring life. Inspiration. You are breathing life into them. And so they know that. They know. We have forgotten who we are because we've been sold a lie of who we're supposed to be, so that again, we can keep this agenda of taming these men that are in this low frequency realm. The real goal is for us women to remember who we are and to ascend. Not all women will go. Some will be casualties. They will be left behind because they're going to get stuck, because they're not going to get the concept of what we're talking about. They're going to get stuck. And that's where I've come to this realization. Every woman is not going to be able to move forward in this ascension. You know, a lot of people are familiar with the shift. They're feeling the desire. They're feeling the desire. They don't know what it is. They can't explain it. They don't have words. So it's people like you and I that are called. We have received that clarion call to be that person who goes out and hears that cry in the wilderness for those who need our lifeline, because that's where our energy needs to go to helping our sisters. We come into community with one another as we're doing now, and we kindle that fire amongst us. And that's how we stay charged. And of course, we do our own personal self-care and our work that we must do to keep us individually charged. But then you come together in community so that we can go and lend a hand to our sisters that need that help, because we're going to have to let the men help the men.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We're at a space and place now where we have to release them so that they can help themselves. Because if not, they will destroy us. It has happened. It is already happening. And I want to point something out. You know, and we spoke about this before. If y'all don't know, honey, me and Miss Ocean did have a few conversations on this whole piece right here. Okay, now we spoke about how we as young women are conditioned to, before we're not programmed or led or educated or inspired to learn who we are at a young age. Before they've already married us off, we got to get married, we got to have children, we got to have a home, we got to clean house, we got to do all of the things that promotes that wife and that husband and that family life. I mean, think about it. At age 16, 17, 18, you are just coming into your activation of being a young woman. You are just being activated, okay? You are just feeling like, ooh, you are feeling the essence of that goddess, that kundalini. You have awoken. And right around 18, 19, when your life is just now coming alive and taking off, you've connected with some guy, right? And you all in love.
If not
Now,
before.
most of your plans have changed. You are no longer focused. Think about it.
But listen, you say 18, 19, if not before.
Yes.
So again,
16, 15. But we're taught very early. We're
if
taught
not,
very early.
if not before.
As little girls, we sitting up there talking about marriage. We 5, 6 years old talking about me and my husband, my 3 kids, my this girl. We playing house already.
That's my boyfriend at 5
years old. Got a boyfriend.
But see, that is that lack of identity.
Yes. Yes. Let's talk about that.
Intentionally removing us from having our identity. It's just like how they've done to us as Black people.
Yes.
When we lack our identity, we attach to an identity that is not of our own.
Right.
So then you get even further lost. You continue to lose your way of who you are. And it's funny because I remember initially going on this journey at the very beginning of going to do this inner work, to do inner healing. Mm-hmm. Why is it so scary to discover yourself?
Ooh, girl, hold up.
Why is it so scary?
We're going to take 1 minute. I just spoke about how they keep us searching for things externally outside of ourselves, but we scared to go inside into the what? Dark. And everything is in the dark. Everything starts from the dark. Light comes from the dark. And when we recognize that we are our own light in our dark, there is no other light outside of ourselves that we need to be following but ourselves. And that's why they tell us be scared of the boogeyman. Don't go in the dark. Be scared of the dark. The boogeyman is you. The darkness is you. And so they have us so scared to go inside and we discover our internal universe. That universe that the sages and the scribes and the master teachers tell us, you are the universe. Everything in the universe is inside of you. But yet we keep looking out there. We're looking for somebody to connect with to make us feel loved. However, everything we really searching for outside of us, we're really searching for ourselves. And when you finally figure that piece out, come on, Ocean, come with it.
That part. Listen, and it was up until I would say even about a month or so, and I read a book, and I had been wanting to read it for a long time. The Inner Work.
Okay.
Did I share it with you the last time?
No, you didn't. No.
Anyway, so that book, The Inner Work, I read that book in December. I remember being so afraid to do like ayahuasca because I knew that it was going to take me inside. It was going to take me inside. But I'm going to tell you what we are afraid of. It's the trauma. It's the memories that we've suppressed. We know that it's there. Again, you talked about the subconscious, unconscious. It's the subconscious, unconscious. It's the fear of what we know that we have been suppressing, we've been hiding, we've been running away from the truth. You know, we're in the age of Aquarius. Those truths have to be revealed in order for us to move forward, move on with where we are supposed to move in humanity. So that is why we're so afraid of it, because we know that there's some truth there that we have been conditioned to push down, to suppress, and to ignore. Because when the truth is exposed and revealed, we have not been taught how to process those emotions.
And you got to do something about it. Now you're responsible for it. Yeah.
Trauma. And so that is why I have actually gotten into intuitively, I have known that I was supposed to do somatic trauma release and through yoga. Through yoga, I did my yoga teacher training a few months ago. I just graduated last month.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I just graduated for yoga teacher training, and it took me back to my childhood. I was doing yoga as a child in the projects, baby. Didn't know what I was doing, but my body knew. My body knew what was needed for my healing and to like endure what I was going through in that time in my life. But as I got older, I forgot who I was. Again, got caught up with men and forgot to do that work. Forgot that that was what got me through childhood. And then as I got into adolescence and young adulthood, my focus went on someone else and trying to please and be accepted. And the abandonment and those rejection wounds, I didn't know how to process those things. And so then you get in that cycle of wanting that love outside of yourself. And now that I'm going back to that, I'm seeing, oh, my little old divine self knew what I was here to do early on, knew what movements to do to move that energy out of my body that was not serving me. Child's pose. A lot of those poses are from when you were a child. Yeah. That's why they have so much connection to your inner child. And so as I've grown and I've evolved, and as I've laid down those weights that had been holding me back, peeled back the veil, peeled back the scales over my eyes, I'm realizing a lot of women don't know how to navigate this alone. And so that's one of the reasons why we kind of have to do it together so that they don't have to do it by themselves, because not everybody needs to do it alone. There's a lot of alone work that you are going to have to do alone, but we were not created to do this journey all the way alone. A lot of the I meant to mention the hero's journey. You're familiar with that? And with tarot, the fool's journey. It is alone, but you do remember that as you're going through that journey, you're meeting people. You're meeting people. So that is going to help you to better this journey of life. A lot of it we will be doing in the dark alone, but for the most part, we are called to do some of this work in community. That's why a lot of times in the indigenous and some of the ancient practices, a lot of that stuff was done communally.
I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad you brought that up because I'm really, I believe in sisterhood. I believe in sisterhood. However, I do believe everybody you call sister is not a sister.
We talked about that too.
Yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I'm big on sisterhood, and I'm big with us finding our tribe, because I am a supporter, an advocate of community healing.
Same.
Because as women, when we get together, we don't even have to come together. We can come together under one goal, and have so many have been, you know, touched. You know what I'm saying? We come together under one theme, and next thing you know, it didn't turned into something totally different but magical, right? Because of that feminine essence and because of our divinity. And every time we join together under one goal and that happens, those things evolve for us in community, there is a healing that takes place. And it hurts my heart when I hear women say, "Oh, girl, I can't stand women. I ain't used to being around women. Girl, I don't even like being around women." And they will disagree with me, and they will deny this right here, what I'm about to say. But if you don't like women, more than likely, you don't like yourself.
And
How
that's
can you
fact.
not like women and you're a woman? And a lot of that comes from seeing your mother go through whatever she went through, and how she had relationships and friendships, grandmom and them, how they had relationships and friendships, or there was a sister that may have hurt you. But what I've noticed, it's something that's usually passed down.
Absolutely. I agree. Everything you just said. And I want to touch on that because again, it goes back to what I said. The agenda is the self-identity. When you heal yourself from the trauma that you've experienced, like you said, that a lot of that is passed down. That trauma that has been passed down, that
Yes.
that environment that you've been nurtured in,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't healthy.
Right.
You were nurtured in an unhealthy environment, so you have unhealthy ideology of what sisterhood is,
Yes.
of what relationships are, and also that conditioning in those types of dynamics. It fosters competitive, jealous, spiteful, all the negative vibrations and frequencies that keep, again, that crabs in a barrel mentality, that survival mode. If you see a man in the room and it's four of y'all women here, we got to compete. Because, again, scarcity. He's the only man in the room, as if he's the only man in the world. So I gotta get him before you get him, and I gotta dog you out to get him, and all of that energy that's being put into that versus you understanding he ain't the only man, he is not the only man in the world, and also what type of man is he? What type of character and integrity and what is he aligned to? We have been so reduced to these male female uh sexual relationships that we don't really understand the value of community, of relationships on a holistic.
Yeah.
We've only been reduced to what we can do with our sexual organs.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's all intentional to keep us in this lower frequency of survival mode. We can't ascend, we can't thrive. We can't thrive in that mentality until we understand the value of community, of family circles, healthy circles within self, and then healthy circles that go extend outside of self. When you start creating that frequency, we can ascend together. That's how and you mentioned something earlier. When we women get together, because of the intentions are pure. See, the intentions of what we're coming to do, we have a common goal, we have a common
Yep.
vision. That's love. It's mutuality. That's real love. And that's why it births something so much more exponentially.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it births something so beautiful and magical, because you're bringing all of your magic together.
Yes.
You're
Love
bringing
it.
it
I
all
love
together.
it. I love it. So going back to this limerence piece, because see, we
Mhm.
said all of this, and believe me when I tell you, all of this socialization, programming, conditioning, trauma, fear of doing our internal work, all of this has to do with this limerence piece. So key features of limerence are intrusive thoughts. Okay, so you're focusing on a person in as an object, right? Intense longing for reciprocation. So you're doing all of these things hoping it will be reciprocal. So you are giving, giving, sharing, 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 and doing all of these things for the attention of this person of your objectification. Okay, emotional dependency on the person's actions and perceived feelings, and that's what Ocean spoke on. She said it's all codependent. Limerence is 100% codependent. You are looking for something from someone else versus you having or creating that for yourself. Idolization of the person, meaning you really don't know, we don't really know who the person is, but we have this idea of who we think they are, and we've taken that in as true. Once again, missing what? The red flags, going into fantasy, right? Mood swings based on the perceived reciprocation. Having mood swings, meaning 1 minute you're up, the next minute you're down. They actually are controlling your mood, because what have you done? You've given over your power. You've given over your power. So now, based on what the person does, the person of your objective feelings, based on what they does, that controls your moods. Yep. Right? Also, physical symptoms. Let's talk about the physical symptoms. Heart palpitations, stomach bubbling, juiciness, moistness, tingling, actual high from oxytocin. Yep. Okay, when seeing the person or thinking of the person, it is a what? Drug. Yes, it absolutely is a drug.
Absolutely. And let's talk about.
Go ahead, Ocean.
And let's talk about why it's not the same as lust.
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about why limerence is not lust. Because see, some people may think limerence is lust, but because it's not love. Because we've always been taught lust and love. See, we weren't told about limerence, because if we were
told about limerence, I've never heard of limerence till last year.
I think I heard about it maybe year before last. I think I heard about it the year before last, and because I was doing all of that unwinding, yes, I had to like dive deep. But the reason why it's not lust, because we were talking about what limerence is. It's the drug of objectification, of wanting a person. It does not necessarily have to be sexual.
Right.
Limerence doesn't have to be sexual at all. You can have limerence for someone that you are in a I'm sapiosexual. That just means that I love people's intelligence. So I want you because you're intelligent and you can talk to me good and you can use big words and you can feed me some good information. Stimulate my mind, you're gonna stimulate these draws.
Everything else follows. Just stimulate my mind, girl. Everything. We just say we're gonna stimulate these draws.
But lust is specifically only sexual.
Draws only.
Yeah, but you also don't have to move at it. You don't actually have to. You don't have to act upon lust.
Work at it. You don't have to work for it.
You don't have to actually act on it. You don't even have to. Because so someone can lust for porn. That's lustful. You know what I'm saying? You can lust after someone in porn. You can lust after a movie star. You can lust after, want them sexually, but you're not going to act upon it. Limerence, you're going to act on your object of intention. You're going to set your hearts out for them, but you're going to build up this character of who they are in your mind. You're going to build up everything in your mind, and it may not just be sexual. It'll be the whole package. It'll be the marriage and the children and you may not know them either. But limerence is more. It's more the whole fantasy, and lust is just a sexual fantasy. You don't want nothing to do with them after that. Lust is
that's one of the hookups. They're just a little hookup, right? Okay. So I want to talk about some traits where limerence is more prone for certain people. You know, I know for me personally, if I think about all of my so-called love relationships, they all started with limerence. Every all of them. And I was prone for it. Why? I had, okay, we have psychological traits are anxious attachment styles.
Yes. Yep.
People with anxious attachment often seek validation and reassurance in relationships, making them more vulnerable to limerence experiences. Okay,
Mm,
low self-esteem. Those who struggle with self-worth may be more likely to idolize others and seek external validation.
yep.
A tendency towards fantasy. People with rich fantasy lives may be more prone to elaborate daydreaming, as well as put is it in also daydreaming more about potential relationships. Okay, rejection sensitivity.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big one. Heightened awareness of and reaction to perceived rejection. Those of us who don't like rejection will create the fantasy of what we want something to be, and we will play that out. And the
Yep.
whole part is we be the only one playing in the script.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what you just mentioned something and I didn't realize that I had was it, I guess I've moved past the anxious attachment now, but that what was it the oh goodness, I don't know why my brain.
Tendency toward rejection sensitivity to
No.
tendency
Some
toward fantasy, low
emotionally
self-esteem.
emotionally unavailable with partners.
Ooh, that part. I always chose emotionally unavailable partners.
Emotionally unavailable
Yes,
partners. And that is
yes,
where that is that fear of rejection or that fear of abandonment, because you
abandonment.
already know that they're emotionally unavailable. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you know it subconsciously. Now,
Yes,
because the rose colored glasses are on, you can't logically make that decision, but subconsciously you are drawing in that emotionally unavailable partner because it lets you play out that fantasy.
yes,
You get to
yes,
play it out and you get to do the push pull with them, trying to get them to pull it out. You trying to pull it out, and then you're pushing things on them to get them to want to. It's just a back and forth fight, and it lets you stay in that loop of a honeymoon phase
yes.
that you can keep playing that fantasy out. And
Mm-hmm.
I just got tired of the fantasy. I want the real thing.
And it will wear your ass out.
It will.
It will
It's
wear
exhausting.
you out. And not just you emotionally and mentally, your resources, honey,
Absolutely.
your
Absolutely.
resources, your identity, whatever piece of identity you had, it will wear down your relationships, not just your love relationships, but family relationships, personal friendships. It wears you out. I
Your
think for
nervous
me,
system. Your
oh,
nervous system.
totally dysregulated. Totally
Dysregulated.
dysregulated.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I think for me, seeking, because I had abandonment issues,
Mm-hmm.
and I needed that codependency, as well as I was constantly seeking external validation
Mm-hmm.
because of my abandonment issues. And all of these are things from childhood. You know what I'm saying? And I finally, girl, I put the pieces together, and I'm so glad. Like I said, my divorce was the best thing, yet the most
Power
painful thing that
moment.
ever happened to me.
Power
Right?
moment.
Yes. And what happened was I was able to see how all of how my childhood trauma continued to play itself out in all of my relationships, not just my love relationships,
Oh,
but
yes.
even my friendships, seeking that internal validation, meaning that I'm always the one that's initiating things, initiating friendships, initiating let's go here, initiating the ideas, initiating this, because I was seeking that internal validation, because as I feel and I'm going to say something after this that connects Black women. I was taught that the more I did was the more I was accepted and the more I was loved. It brought a sense of value. The more I served, the more I shared, the more I did for others, right? brought me a sense of value because I'm valuable. I have something. And today I'm at a space where I'm coming just to be. I'm just being. I'm not bringing a damn thing but myself.
Again, but you're enough.
That part. That
You're
part.
enough.
That part. And I understand that today.
Can
I
I
understand that.
can I say something about that also?
Yes.
When you were in that space, did you feel or think that if you gave in that way, that value? Because I also witnessed, like with love languages, people's love language, they usually give their love language to other people thinking that they're going to get their love language back. Did you experience that too?
I did experience that. I did experience that, but I experienced it to a degree. It's not like I totally expected it.
Okay.
But I did experience I did desire some reciprocity that at least gave me a sense of what would you say, regard?
Okay.
You know, I don't want to say a sense of value, but a sense of regard, as I'm being regarded, I'm being thought about, I'm being, somebody is also like, I'm connecting with emotionally unavailable people. So I'm looking for this regard. That's that fantasy. I'm looking for them to show me something
in their way.
on,
in their way. Whatever their way is.
Whatever their way is.
Okay.
Whatever their way is.
Gotcha.
And so I had to learn to separate that from a healthy space of reciprocity versus unrealistic expectations.
Yes.
In who I'm dealing with. So
yeah.
I'm dealing with emotionally unavailable people and expecting something that they can't give me because they emotionally unavailable.
And they ain't got it to
They
give.
ain't got it. They ain't got it. Right? And they've never done it. And they're not going to do it. So it once again, Ocean, it went back to who? It went back to me and how I related to myself. It's not about how I related to him, her, none of that. It's not how I related to my husband. All of this went back to me and how Tracey related to Tracey. And that's how we got here to life after divorce.
Listen, hey, I love it. I love it. And I'm glad that you are embodying. You are embodying, and that's what we're here to do. We are here to embody this work. It's not just for us to know it, but to embody it, to become. Like you said earlier, now I'm just being.
Yes, I'm just being, because I am enough.
We are enough. We're here to be. And again, it goes back to being that whole human being, and you bring that together, and we can evolve. We can
come up with the being.
Yeah, we can evolve together. We can evolve as beings, but what we have been reduced to is animalistic nature.
Yes.
Animalistic living. Again, back to the lower region, sexual energy, and that is our main driving force. But limerence has been used as a tool to take us to that place of operating in that lower frequency. And we are definitely here to evolve and to ascend and to become a more embodied human being.
I love it. I love it. So let's talk about some factors on how to get over limerence. I have here that you need to understand what's happening. And I said that earlier, many times we don't know we're in limerence. We don't know what this is. We've been taught that this is how you love. This is our examples that we've seen. These movies, all of these romance novels, all of these things that carry this drug of romance. Just we OD, they've OD'd us on it, right? So we're searching for all of these examples that are external. So recognizing limerence for what it is, an intense infatuation rather than a deep mutual connection. And that's what you spoke on, Ocean, the deep mutual connection, the mutual reciprocity, okay? Acknowledging that you've idolized an image and you've created that likely doesn't exist. It doesn't match the reality. So the audio and the video ain't matching up, honey. Whatever that fantasy is you got of this person, it's not matching the reality. Understand, you are in limerence, okay? Learn about limerence and gain perspective through channels like this, through following Ocean, and I'm going to have her give her information on how you can find her. Also, videos, books, and things like that. And then they have a book by Tennovs. Tennov's book is called Love in Limerence. Okay, check that out. Break the thought patterns of limerence. And this is what I had to do. And as we suggested, there's going to be some community healing that needs to happen. You're going to need to connect with people that support your happiness and your healing, no matter, that don't judge you. Okay, don't criticize you. One day you could be crying, the next day you could be happy. You be totally bipolar, and they totally get it. Like, you got to kick it. You got to kick it with people like that, right? So practice mindfulness and recognize when limerence thought arises. Meaning, sit with yourself and ask yourself questions. What is this? What am I feeling? Why is it so intense? Just in an immediate meeting. I just met this person and I'm having these really intense thoughts, these really intense feelings. What's going on with this? And do not act on it. Do not act on it. Save yourself, honey, a life full of disappointment and abuse. I'm telling you, use your thoughts to stop whatever intrusive thoughts start to come in. Redirect your attention to other activities when the fantasizing starts, and keep a journal of triggers. There's going to be things that may trigger you from childhood, where you had to, go out and you wanted your mother's love, or you wanted your father's love, or you wanted somebody's love. So that meant you went out and you tried to do things to receive it, because usually that's where it comes from. It comes from not feeling validated as a child. That's a big part of it, right? Create distance between you and the person. Give yourself some time away from the person so you could settle, honey, and get grounded, honey. Get your thoughts together.
So brain and heart to coherence. Get it together.
Come on, baby. All right. Remove reminders such as photos, gifts. Don't be stalking those social media pages, honey. Look, those of you who man done left, honey, you done got divorced, or you divorcing and you done left, or whatever. One thing I did not do, I did not go and stalk. I didn't want to know what he was doing. I didn't want to see what he was doing. I didn't want to know if he was living happy, because I didn't want him to live happy. I was mad. See him over there with some other girl. Girl, I'm just keeping it 100. Most women, they done did so much.
Have done your work. You can look at them in their space of happiness and be like, okay, that's good for them.
That's why I said in the beginning. Now I don't care. It's like, do you whatever that looks like, because I'm not tripping off everything that we've been through and we've done and all that. I've kind of
absolutely
done, right? So avoid places where you'll likely encounter the person. You got to save yourself, honey. This is the way to save yourself. Set clear boundaries. Okay, clear boundaries. And the boundary is when they contact you. Like, don't just accept every call that they call. Oh, that's them. You don't do that. They call, let them call. Let them leave a message. Check if it's not an emergency. They don't text you, say 911 or something. Check the message the next day.
Because they're reopening that wound.
Yes.
They're reopening that wound, and you're starting that healing process over again.
Okay. Yes. Focus on self-development. Meaning reconnect with those interests and those things that you love to do, right? That existed before this limerence piece, before this intense emotional obsession, because that's what it is. Strengthen the other relationships in your life. Pursue personal goals that's unrelated to romance. Work on building your self-esteem and self-validation. Ocean, do you have any other things that they can do in order to connect with that self-love piece so that they can quit looking for that external fantasy and desire?
Absolutely. So I wanted to add to something you said with the social media. With the social media, you may need to unlike a lot of those social media platforms that talk about romantic relationships a lot.
Oh, that's good.
Anything that's going to keep you in that loop of like love. If you're following couples that are relationship goals, Do
Mm-hmm.
not follow those people anymore during this time. That's not saying you'll never be able to follow those people again. Just don't follow that stuff right now. Don't follow anything about love and romance and any of those types of things, or couples and them sharing their stuff, because you don't want to be triggering those emotions until you
Yes.
learn how to process those emotions of jealousy and this and that, the longing, and the desire for that. So you don't want to keep in that desire of wanting it while you're healing it.
True.
Also music. Don't listen to a lot of love songs. Get that off of
Not.
your playlist until you're ready to engage in that again from a clear
Yeah.
footed mind. Another thing
Baby,
with,
Glorilla and Meg the Stallion was, honey, that was my playlist. That helped build my resolve and my strength, right?
I love it. I'm here for it. Yes. Find you some music that is empowering.
Yes.
Tony Jones, some
Yes.
affirmations,
Affirmations.
affirmational music that help you to become more one with self.
Mm-hmm.
Um, some embodiment tactics, yoga, breath work, sound healing, some things, some small things to do on your journey of rediscovering who you are. Because sometimes, again, going inward is kind of scary. So you just kind of have to slow things down so that you can take the dive of doing inner healing work, because the shadow work is needed. It is, you must do it, but just slow yourself down, spend a little bit more time with self, start doing some things alone. Because a lot of times what people will do is, once they turn their attention away from those romantic relationships, then all of a sudden they're trying to be around a lot of people. So then they're distracted. So don't get distracted with other people and what they got going on, their business, their life, gossip, and a drama. Don't get overly involved in anything. Spend a lot of time with yourself. Take yourself on lunch dates. Take yourself out on dinner dates. Spend some time, some quiet time. Do some reading. Read some books. We mentioned a couple of books here earlier. She mentioned a book, but just do some things on loving on yourself. There's a lot of self-love books. Do some audible books. I love an audio book. Do some books where you're listening to the author read if you have a hard time reading on your own. And maybe join a book club or something like that, because that's one of the things that I did. I actually created a book club, our Sacred Sister Circle. We read a book. Like right now, we're reading Queen Afua's Circles of Wellness, and that is helping us to reconnect to self, and that way we can extend that circle of us out into the greater community, which is our planet, which is humanity. That's the goal that we're all here to do.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much,
Yes,
Ocean, for
ma'am.
joining me. We appreciate all your wisdom and your information. Let everybody know where they can find you and what offerings do you have going on right now.
I am at Ocean Thee, like Meg the Stallion, Ocean Thee Yogi at Instagram, Ocean Thee Yogi at TikTok, and I am Latoya Forbes on Facebook. And currently, my offerings are just the weekly book club that we have. We're reading the book of Circles of Wellness. It's one of those books that it's not where you have to read it from cover to cover, but we're reading it from cover to cover, getting some wisdom from Queen Afua, who is a wonderful woman who does host a lot of sacred wisdom and healing. So we're reading her book right now, and we are going to start working on doing some yoga classes via Zoom. I'll be working on that. And then we'll be doing some community events that I'm doing, some community care day quarterly events to bring these healing modalities to the community in Dallas, Texas, for our areas, communities where these types of modalities are not as prevalent. Bringing yoga, sound healing, hula hooping. What else did we do? Drum circle, a dance, those things. And I did a guided meditation, a guided collective napping experience where we reimagine what the future will look like without these systems of oppression, keeping us bound so that we can use our imagination in a more healthy way, collective and community. So I have an event coming up in July. It's July 26th. I have not got the final details of it, but it is in the works and we are working on laying that out. Again, we did one in January and then in October of last year. And so I'm just here doing yoga teacher training, or doing yoga trainings or classes at the time, and just, uh, building up my knowledge of yoga, becoming a more living a more yogic life is what I'm personally doing for my,
Lifestyle.
yeah, because it's more of a lifestyle for me. It's not just doing yoga in the classroom. It is embodying the yogic life, the 8 limbs of yoga, the philosophy, all of those things. So I'm just, ingesting, still masticating on that information, and embodying it into my everyday life.
Thank you.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
I love it. I love it. Y'all see why I rocks with her? Y'all see why I rocks with her, right? An amazing, amazing human being. So check us out. If you need more of this, right? If you need more of this, and if you need that sacred sisterhood and that safe space, and you are over 40 and you are divorced or divorcing, check us out at the Rebirth Collective community on Facebook. I have our dear sister Ocean over there. I would like for Ocean to come over there in the group and do one of those meditations where we
We
release some of those layers.
absolutely,
We need
absolutely,
that,
yes,
honey.
absolutely, absolutely,
Yes, yes.
absolutely.
So understand that we are all in this together. This is a consciousness, a collective consciousness, and we are here to raise awareness that no matter what your relationship status is, no matter what your sexual orientation is, you deserve love in life at every level, but you especially deserve love in life after divorce. Check out my new ebook, Heartbreak to Happiness 10 Steps to Recovering from Divorce. I'll have that link down in the actual description section. And I appreciate you for being here. Be sure to subscribe to our channel and check out this next video. Join our safe and supportive community for women who are over 40, recovering from divorce, and in the process of a reinvention and finding happiness. The Rebirth Collective.